Welcome, my friends. Kevin Shirka here, the Indiana Jones nerd yet again. Excitement is beginning to mount for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and we've had 3 big articles which have revealed some major information. First of all, it was confirmed that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg are involved in the game. This comes from an interview of design director Jens Andersen by The Guardian, saying they've been constantly involved. We've provided them with regular production updates throughout the whole project. This is absolutely massive news that the 2 main creative forces of the Indiana Jones franchise are attached to this project in some way, and that it doesn't exist outside of their sphere of influence, further legitimizing the game's status as a core addition to the Indiana Jones canon. The other major revelation this week came during an interview of Lucasfilm Games' Craig Derrick and conducted by Lucas Seastrom of Lucasfilm, who I've had the pleasure of meeting several times. Derrick said, "In many ways, we envisioned this game as a spiritual successor to Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis and other classic adventure games. It's about thinking, discovering, tracking down clues, and sometimes just a bit of luck." This should make people very happy. We have heard numerous designers mentioning point-and-click adventure games, but we've never heard it described in this way, as a spiritual successor to Fate of Atlantis, which most people would agree is the premier Indiana Jones experience outside of the original trilogy. You can definitely see the DNA of the old graphic adventures with rich story-driven puzzles, adventure points for making discovery, and a multi-option approach to different situations. And while speaking on the subject of Indy's camera, Derrick directly referenced young Indiana Jones' Attack of the Hawkmen, saying, "A little-known fact about Indy is that as a young man, he becomes an aerial reconnaissance photographer during World War I. So while we don't necessarily call that out, this game leverages a little bit of that aspect of his character." And this and other articles have further cemented the fact that Machine Games have worked closely with Lucasfilm, taking a look at rare artifacts from the archive and adding deep-cut references that you wouldn't get unless you're a big fan of Indiana Jones, including the Temple of the Forbidden Eye map, Indy's fellow professors ripped right out of the Raiders RPG sourcebook, and Indy's love of rhythm and blues, which I covered in a previous video. And while we're on the subject, Craig Derrick himself saw that video of mine and complimented it, which was awesome. In addition to the articles from The Guardian and Lucasfilm's website, a big cover story dropped this week on Edge magazine with tons of information. Now, a lot of the stuff they mentioned was repeat information, which I had mentioned in my previous video, full breakdown of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle Gamescom footage, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already, but there was also some new information. Villain Emmerich Voss is in possession of a manipulative, intelligent, and psychologically probing mind, but Voss is also very competitive and at times seeks out Indy's professional approval as an archaeologist, which gives him depth and brings out a bit of his human side. This is in line with Machine Games' history for deep characters and suggests that Voss will be one of the most memorable villains of the Indiana Jones saga. We also heard about illegal actions in the game, the idea being that during disguise sections, Indy's behavior dictates whether he remains in stealth or if the situation escalates to a fistfight or eventually a gunfight. One example, of course, being a German officer at Giza who demands a bottle of wine in the middle of your search for an artifact. There was also talk about the game's sound design, where throwing a punch will sound different from taking a punch, with reactions being heard just a split second after. Just another example of how thoughtfully designed this game is to create an immersive experience. They also emphasized the focus on stealth and exploration, saying that many game testers would naturally look for ways to avoid gunfights because getting shot and making noise can be dangerous. They further emphasized the choice to make the game in first person, putting the player in the eyes of Indiana Jones and the intimacy it provides when solving puzzles or looking at artifacts. And this choice had a major benefit on the gameplay, as the level designs could now allow for claustrophobic caverns, unlike third-person games which required large areas to account for the sweep of the camera. But again, there will be plenty of third-person traversal moments and cutscenes showing Indiana Jones. They also emphasized Troy Baker's phenomenal performance as Indiana Jones, and revealed that they used makeup test turnaround footage from the 1980s to recreate the look of Harrison Ford and Denholm Elliott. The game designers confirmed that this game takes place right after Indy's painful breakup with Marion, as referenced in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and that part of the reason Indy rushed off on this adventure was to escape the pain of that situation. We also learned the full name of Indy's companion in this game, Gina Lombardi, an Italian journalist on the hunt for her lost sister. Craig Derrick added that Gina is the perfect ally for Indy. She's endlessly curious, incredibly sharp, and has a personal stake in the journey. She not only challenges and assists the player, but also serves as an intellectual equal to Indy, bringing depth to the adventure. Players are really going to connect with her and root for her story. So I think that just about wraps it up on this news roundup of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Once again, I would definitely recommend watching my full breakdown of the behind closed doors footage, which is the same video that Edge magazine have based their article off of. My video has a very thorough analysis of everything shown behind closed doors, including a lengthy Q&A session with the developers. So check it out and my other videos in this playlist as our coverage of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle continues. Let me know your reaction to all this down in the comments, and be sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss on all the great Indiana Jones content on the way. Thanks as always for watching, and I wish you all fortune and glory. Bye bye now.